Here at Sixers Media Day with head coach Nick Nurse. Nick, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
How was the summer?
It was okay. I think that as a basketball coach, your summer is greatly affected by your season before, right?
Yeah.
So I've been using this term a little bit here today. I don't know if it's a real term. There's a lot of pissed offedness.
We'll take it.
Right?
Yeah.
like you know, is not what we wanted last year at all. And as a coach, you do have to live through that. Been fortunate enough to live through it the other way.
Yes.
A number of times,
Yes.
right? So just kind of spurred us into let's take a hard look at everything. Let's really get to work.
Yeah.
Let's start pulling the team together. Let's get them out on the floor. Let's get skill development, player development, weight room. Let's get everybody rolling. And like I always tell our team, I only know one thing is to work your way out of problems.
Yeah.
Like go to work, and that's kind of the definition of how the summer went.
So you know me so well because you led me right into, that was one of the things I was going to ask you. You've had so much success in the league, and even year one here where you made it to the postseason, but last year just went off the rails the way that it did. So how much of that did you, to your reflection point, obviously you were surprised about it, but made you kind of go back and look at things differently and how you wanted to approach this year?
Yeah, I mean, I always think that you do take a thorough debriefing of the year, right? You go back and listen. There was a lot of injuries. There was a lot of things that you could point to that are obvious, but you still have to evaluate what you think. And then, as the summer unfolds a little bit, you are continuing to evaluate how the roster's shaping up and what that looks like once it gets to the floor. So there's a lot more speed and quickness. There's a lot more youth. There's a lot more backcourt play. So then that starts formulating your plans on what are you going to change and how does that change the style of play at both ends of the floor, and you continue to let that take shape. Yeah.
Nick, that's what I'm curious about, the mix of veteran players on your team, but also youth. You have a bunch of young guards that you also want to develop at the same time, but also players that have proven a lot in the league. As a coach, as somebody who oversees a huge staff, how do you balance those sort of two goals of development, but also winning this year?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that that is a little bit unique. We've got I think, if not the highest, one of the highest number of youth players. And then we've got a group of guys that have been around 20 years, Kyle Lowry, right, and a couple guys 13, 14, 15 years that are not only vets, they're real veterans, right? So I think let's start with the vets first of all. I think that they are here especially with so many young guys, in a capacity to teach, right? They need to teach these guys how to be pros, kind of some ins and outs of the league. But even like I sat down with Paul George for a long time the other day, and I was like, listen, you are a great defensive player, and there's a lot of tricks, anticipation things like you need to teach these guys this quick, teach them how to the cheat codes or whatever they are to get them up to speed quicker. He's another thing he does. He's great at getting open. Getting open's not easy, especially in this day and age where they're letting everybody hug and hold and fight and all this stuff. And I say, you got to teach them this head and shoulder stuff, this change of direction stuff. Anyway, that's one thing with the vets, right? And then the youth guys, listen, we got to work them like crazy, right? They need to get them in great shape. We got to get them on the floor as much as possible. Just give them the experience and reps. We're gonna have to live through some mistakes. Let guys play through some mistakes. Like Edgecombe would be like the prime example of that. What's the definition of success for him this year? I tell him it's minutes, right? I want you to be out there as much as you can be out there. And that's going to mean that we're going to have to live through some of the ups and downs that a rookie has, especially a young rookie. I don't know. I hope I answered your question there. Yeah.
Nick Nurse joining us here, Sixers Media Day here on PHLY. And with that, as you talk about one of the players that Paul George can give some of that knowledge to, Edgecombe comes to mind because of his build, his position, and things like that. How much have you looked at him from summer league to where we are now? Obviously, summer you're not really allowed to do much, but your office is not too far. How much have you seen from him just growing from the 2 games that you saw, the practices, and to where we are as we get prepared for the start of the season?
He's definitely gotten better. It's been exciting to see. The first thing that really excites you, I think, as a coach, or that I've seen players in this situation in the past, is kind of what does their tank look like? What is their what's their energy levels or whatever, and what I mean by that is, well, first of all, he's got a great one.
Sure.
That he doesn't mind the day after day after day length of how much time you got to spend working at getting better to be a great play. He does it. All the stuff you have to do, weights, shooting, all the drills, all the whatever it is, massages, hot tub, he does all that stuff and comes back the next day and he's ready to go again.
Okay.
Right? I don't see the gas level moving much. He's got a really good energy base, which is that's such a huge part of the building block when you're building, when you're going to, become a great player. So he's got that, first of all. He has gotten better. You can just see it, just the feel of the tempo of the game. He's worked really hard at his shooting. I say this again, he's since we've drafted him, he's been where we've wanted him to be every single day. Yeah. And most of that has been working out on the floor and in the weight room, right? So he's done a great job.
Nick, another thing I was curious about is the size on the wing on this roster.
Yep.
You have Joel, Bona, you have Drummond, you have big guys on this team, but I heard upstairs Paul George say that he might play the 4 a little bit. You've coached teams of all different sizes throughout your career. I guess, what have you learned throughout your career in kind of dealing with those different types of teams and maybe lack of size, and how can you apply that to this group?
Yeah, listen, I think that, wing defenders and wing size is important in this league. I think that, what does it do? It lets those guys are usually pretty versatile. They can switch a lot. They can deflect a lot of balls. They can create a lot of turnovers. We may not, we do have some pretty decent wing size. Paul and Justin and Kelly come to mind. Edgecombe's, he's maybe shifting down a bit, size-wise, but his athleticism makes up for it. And that's kind of the point I want to make is we've got some speed and quickness, right? We've got some speed and quickness, and we've got it in numbers in the backcourt, which should enable us to get directionally faster both ways. What do I mean? Well, we ought to be able to get back a lot better than we did a year ago, just because of the sheer speed, and get our defense set, and we ought to be able to push forward. Again, just because of the sheer speed, and I think it's higher energy, shorter stints, because you got guys that can go in and kind of look similar and have the same athleticism and speed as the guy they just replaced. Yeah.
And speaking of just Tyrese Maxey, he talked about openly last year when you guys got off to that tough start, how he took so much on his shoulders to get things back on track, and he did once he started to bounce back in that December, January month. Unfortunately, things played out the way that he did. Daryl Morey spoke also this weekend, and he talked about the leadership that he has shown in this gym, not only here but also in LA and in Texas. How much are you expecting from him leadership-wise as he goes into year 6, year 3 with him, and the growth that you've seen from him in that area of his game?
Well, he's certainly growing as a leader. I think it started a couple years ago when he became more of a full-time point guard. That changes your life pretty drastically, being off the ball and taking open shots versus having the ball and now directing your team. That right there is a different workload, both physically and mentally. He started to become more vocal. He started getting better at demanding people execute things on the court. You mentioned some of the stuff off the court. Everybody knows he's a great guy with tremendous character. Everybody loves him. It's easy to gravitate towards him, but he's taken that. He's gone out of his way to make sure to keep guys together, to do not only some cool things, but also some hard work things too, in the gym. But he's just part of what I would consider our leadership group. Like, again, we mentioned the older players. They got to be part of it. Paul and Joel are certainly, just with their status as players and all they've accomplished, are part of our leadership group as well. So we're just trying to build it, a little bit and keep growing Tyrese at the same time.
Last one for me is Joel. Who seems like he's been in here working out. 2 years ago, your first year, that first half, he was playing as good as pretty much anybody in the league.
Yeah.
What is it going to take for him to get back to that level, and what have you seen from him in this sort of pre-training camp period?
Yeah, I think the encouraging things are some of the stuff that he's said, that he looks good, right? He's feeling pretty good. He's got some boxes to tick to get, keep it going. But it looks more encouraging. I think he said he feels a lot better this year,
right,
at this time of year than he did a year ago. So that's got to be a positive step in the right direction. And we're looking forward to getting him back with the group. Our best version of our team is certainly him playing at a level somewhere near that you were talking about, because it was incredible. Right, it was incredible before the injury, and even after, some of those games in the playoffs were pretty incredible too. So getting him back to Joel Embiid certainly becomes the best version of this basketball team, and we're looking forward to it.
Sixers head coach Nick Nurse joining us here on PHLY. Thank you so much. Good luck this season.
Right, thanks a lot, guys.
Talk to you. Thanks, man.
Yep.